Hello, my smart friends. Let's nerd out. I'm excited to start a series of videos on analytics. In today's video, we're going to talk about the things that you absolutely have to master if you're going to be a digital marketer. One of the most common complaints I get from businesses is that they don't really understand or see the value that they're getting from digital marketing. They have a lot of questions about what that data means. The reason for that is that a lot of digital marketers go into the field expecting it to be a creative endeavor. Digital marketing is a science. Yes, there are numbers involved. So I'm going to give you the 4 things that you absolutely have to know as a digital marketer. And if you are a hiring manager, do ask those questions when you're hiring a digital marketer. First, you need to understand how the web works. And that might seem a little odd to say. What's that got to do with analytics? Well, analytics is part of the web. And I'm surprised by how many people don't understand basic concepts such as how does Google search work? The fact that there's algorithms in place, or the fact that you need code on a website to activate Google Analytics. And a lot of people really misunderstand how cookies work and the fact that there's other browser signatures that can be used to track website activity. The first thing to look at is to get a crash course on how the web works, as simple as that may sound. Second, you need to understand the technology behind the analytics tool that you use. And I'm not saying you need to know how the code works. You just need to know what to tell your web development team to do, or ask the right questions, or know how to troubleshoot if you see any issues with your analytics. Understanding that technology is very important, because if we set up the technology wrong or don't really understand the definitions of the metrics that are being used, we can severely inflate our data. So here's an example. Most people think that Google Analytics tracks people. It doesn't. Google Analytics tracks visits from a browser on a device. So I could come to your website from my computer, from my phone, from Alexa, and Google Analytics, if not set up to track across devices, will think that I am 3 people. Now, that could significantly inflate your data because most of us don't just visit a website once or just once from one device. If I am tracked as 3 different people and everybody else is tracked as 3 different people, that could really mislead your marketing. That's why it's so important to both understand how the web works and how Google Analytics technology works. Setup, how you set up your tracking, from dashboards, setting up goals, segmentation, cross-device tracking, cross-domain tracking, connecting Search Console with Google Analytics, can make or break your analysis. Most go with Google Analytics out of the box. Without setting up the tracking to match your purpose, your needs, you just get a data dump. And it's going to be a lot harder to analyze what's happening there. Now, I'm not saying that you have to know how to do all of these setups. You just need to know about them so that you can ask your web team to do them, or so that you can look up tutorials on how to do them yourself. It's a lot of little things to know. Nobody's expected to know every single little detail. You just need to know that one of the first steps after setting up Google Analytics is to customize it to match your needs. 4 is context. What I see so many businesses fail at is not keeping track of what was done when. How am I supposed to know what these spikes in data mean, these spikes in traffic, if we've forgotten what we did on that day or that month? So Google Analytics has this beautiful feature called Annotations, and you can use it to put in notes. If you start a campaign on a certain date, you need to plug that in there. So if you're interviewing somebody for a job or you are being interviewed, talk about this piece of the fundamentals of digital marketing tracking and analysis. How do you align what you've done with the data that your tool is giving you? Because just the data by itself is not going to tell you much. And 5 curiosity. This is a bonus one because this has nothing to do with analytics skill set. All of this technical stuff will just give you data, raw data. You still need to use your head to interpret what that data means. I want you to look at this data and ask questions. Why do I see those peaks and valleys? What happened there? Ask the people who may have done marketing or in other areas of the business that may have impacted those numbers, like PR, customer service. What has changed? What did we do on this date? Take the time to sit with that data until it makes sense, until you can turn data into a story, and that's going to be your analysis. So there's your 4 fundamentals plus the bonus one. Leave me your questions in the comments, and stay tuned for the future video where we're going to dive deeper into each one of those 4 fundamentals. And I will see you back here next week. From a source, from a browser on a mobile device, from Alexa. I could come to Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, thank you.
You bet.